So I think you see it.
Yes. Now we can see it.
You can see, yeah. So I'll take you this topic, and we have to cover this very little objectives. One of them is to comprehend the concept of background information, but also in reflect to the research title, because I've been told that learners have started already to develop how to develop a research title. But also we are going also to share conceptual knowledge on how to formulate a problem statement in a reflect to the research title. So it's a very brief based on the time allocated. And then I would like you to start with this statement, your question. Because writing a background, because we want to start with how to write a background information in research. So writing a background is a very normal issue, and it should not be a very tensive or an issue that you need someone to be fear of, to be restlessness of it. No one is needed to fear about it. It's a matter of relaxing, because it's a normal issue which anybody can live with it in our daily living. So we have this question here, of which participants can try to answer by their experiences. For instance, you have a problem or financial problem, and I want to go to a friend or neighbor to ask for help. So if you reach to the friend or neighbor, how do you start to present yourself for him or her to offer you some money? Is one among your problems. See? So from here, many of us, we have different answers. There are some people who start with the greetings according to their social cultural norms. They greet, and then they maybe sometimes they give a positive remark to the individual that he has gone there to ask for help, and then later on, he or she is going to start presenting his or her problem. So the way we present ourselves once we have problems is the approach also, which is very simple to be used when you address or you want to initiate the journey of writing background information research. See. So no one can go to ask for help from someone and presenting first the problems that he or she has. Normally, we start with the greetings and giving positive remark to an individual that you have dressed well, you are healthy, you are handsome, you are beautiful. And then later on, you start presenting your problem. See, I've come here, I have a problem, and I thought that you are the first individual to me that you can help. You see, so this journey, this flow, this framework is also, or can a researcher can apply in writing the background information of his or her research. You see, we start with the positive remark of the topic you understood, and then later on you say, however, this happens against the expected ideal situation. See, so I put this question for us beginners who wish to start the journey of writing background information, to ask ourselves, to plug the process of writing background information to our daily living. You see, so if we start like this one, I mean that it's very simple. If we have a topic of interest, to know also how should I start writing the first paragraph of my background information. So scholars and even training institutions have different approaches of writing background information. There are those places or institutions where they start with defining the problem. There are those areas or training institution or companies, organizations, where they start with a very positive, what is expected with the topic understood. For instance, we say someone is going to study mother and child health. You see, so if you adopt this approach of asking yourself, if you have a problem and then you want to help, how do you start? Mean that if you start with a positive remark, and that you say mother and child health is very important to the social cultural contribution of any nation. This is a positive remark. is where you start taking off in writing your background information. And then if there are some people who start with negative remark, you see, they go direct, you see, maternal and child mortality and morbidity is a global burden. You see, this is a negative initiation or beginning of the background information. See, so we have approaches, and this depends on the organization or training institution that you have. But today I'm presenting the universal approach that can any organization or any training institution can adopt, and for the beginners, I thought that it is very easy. So you can adopt this approach that you start your background information by positive remark, and based on your training institution or organization, it can require you, as it has been prescribed in the guardian, to start with the negative remark. See, so what is really the concept of background information? I say this is I would like to share this one first, to know the concept, and then later on to know how to write the problem statement, background information, and then later on I will demonstrate one example of the background information, written background information, for us to say, is it real background information or there are something missing? It's a kind of brain teaser. So we start with the concept, and then we go to the requirement of how to begin writing the background information, and I demonstrate one example for a written background information for you to critique it. See, so by concept, background information, this is just a summary of the topic that you have, a topic of interest, and then in this topic it must be researchable. You see, so it's a summary, a brief summary of what is there, the context of the topic under study. So you demonstrate your writings as if you are telling someone a story about what is happening, what is the event, and then this event must be, if you are in the professional arena, I mean that is, it must be a problem of professional concern. And then if it's a public issue, for instance, eruption of diseases, you see, it must be a problem of public concern. So it depends with the field that a researcher is there. So it's a summary that a researcher demonstrates a context, a content, a story about the topic, a proposed phenomena under study around the globe. So mean that the key point here is background deals with the global, the entire world. How is the topic understood, demonstrating itself around the globe? So background touches the global than a local setting. So you describe the trend of the problem in developed countries, the trend of the problem in developing countries, and the trend of the problem in summer in the local setting. So it has three arms. Background has three domains to be described about the problem. So you describe your problem of interest, the problem of understanding in the developed country, but also in developing countries. And you come at the lower level, the specific level, which is local setting. And then when I say local setting, I mean that I say the area, the geographical location that you are. So if we say country, you say the trend of the problem in your country. And then you follow with the regional distribution of the problem, but within the country. But background information touches the global perspectives, where you study with the global trend of the problem in developing, and the local setting. So we have a prerequisite for you to be able to write a problem, background information. You must first have a problem of interest. And then this problem must be in the aspect of public issue or professional issue. So regardless of the domains, but at first in the 0 point, you must first have a problem of interest to be studied. And then this problem, the quality of this problem must affect a large number of people for it to be qualified as a problem. And then some problems might affect a certain group of people, but it's also demonstrating a burden of health outcomes, deaths, morbidities. If you have this problem, a kind of problem, which affects a small number of people, but the health-related burdens are very huge, mean that this also qualifies to be a problem of interest to be studied. So the requirement for a researcher to write background information is a problem of interest, which can fall under public concern or professional concern or any field concern. So if you have this one, mean that you will be in a position to start initiating the journey to write a background information. And then the sources of this problem, it may be from your lived experience. If you are working in clinical settings and you witness some issues that are not positive to the health of people, to any economic maybe prosperity, mean that the source of problem will be your experience, lived experience, whether in the working situation or in the society. But also you can establish a problem through reports. You see, people are writing reports presenting some of issues that are occurring in the society. So it might be the source of the problem to be researched and to be considered to write during the process of writing background information. But some review published papers or works, scholarly works, and then from there you search for the limitation of the studies that have been published, and from there you can demonstrate the problem also. So this is the prerequisite of a researcher to be able to write a background information. You must have a problem to be studied. So requirements, as I said, from the prerequisite of writing the background information, you must be in a position to establish a root cause of the problem. This is just a scope of initiating a situational analysis of the problem that you have identified. So for you to conduct a situational analysis and to satisfy yourself that this qualifies to be a problem of public concern, you must be able also to find the root cause of the problem. But how big is the problem? How many are affected? The number of those who are affected in relation to the outcomes of the problem. This brings out the magnitude of the problem. Some call it as a prevalence of the problem or incidences of the problem. See, and then the extent that previous studies or initiatives, governmental initiatives, global initiatives that have been in place to address the problem. This will also help you to build the background information. Like you are also required to indicate the contextual gap that your study intends to fill. So no problem without a gap. So we have problems, but the world is not calm, it's not silent. There are some initiatives in place to address it, but not all initiatives can fulfill to eradicate or eliminate the problem. These strategies can work at some level, maybe 80%. So if 80% means that 20% which is remaining is what your research proposes to go in the field that you need. So this is just a concept of what is background information. See, the concept, the requirement, but also the prerequisite. So as Madam Hindu said, sometimes we confuse to define what is background information and what is a problem statement. So the difference is, the major one is, as I said earlier, background information is all about the global, the context of the topic under study in the global perspectives. However, problem statement is a locality information that describes the problem under study, you see. So we talk of global context when we are talking of background information. But when you reach the problem statement, it's where you move from broad to specific. And if we move like this one, it means that you are going to talk of the problem within your country or within your geographical location. That is a major, the first is the preliminary and the primary difference between background information and the problem statement. But we also have a difference between literature and the background information, you see. So background information describes about the context of the problem, you see. And then this one is always sourced from reported evidences. We source it from evidences, the reports that are written to report the problems. While the literature is all about the topic under study is demonstrated by literature or published scholarly works. You see, that is the difference between background information and problem statement, but also the difference between background information and the literature review. See. So in writing the background information, we have building blocks to be considered. Building blocks to be considered when writing a background information. See. The first building block from the research title that you have, any research title, for instance, for quantitative researches, we have what is so-called variables. You see? And then in variables, we have independent variable and we have also dependent variable, which are also called outcome variable. And the independent variable are sometimes called the predictor variable or factors contributing to the outcome of interest. So you must have variables. And then in writing background information, the issue which is written in its first position is outcome of interest. You see. So for instance, I say factors contributing to malaria among under 5 children in Tanzania. So here I have independent variable and a dependent variable or outcome variable. You see, independent variable for my title will be factors. And then the outcome variable or dependent variable in my title will be malaria. You see. So when I started the journey to present my background information, I will concentrate giving the context of malaria, the prevalence. What is the prevalence of malaria in the developed countries? What is the prevalence of malaria in developing countries? And what is the prevalence of malaria in local setting? In this case, for me, I could say in Tanzania. See? So when I go through this approach, it means that I am demonstrating the magnitude of malaria in statistical comparative information between the developing, and the local setting in Tanzania. See? And then if I write that one, mean that in the second place, I need to link the outcome variable with what attributes to the trend. You see? It's where it comes the issue of introducing the independent variables or predictor variables or factors that contributes to the magnitude or trend of the problem. See? And then, as I said, in presenting it, means that you can start with, for instance, my case is malaria. So if I start my background information with the positive remark, I say the health of under 5 children is determined by various factors, including parenting or whatever and whatever. And a healthy child must be able to grow well, to have IQ as a normal human being, to demonstrate this behavior, see? And then I demonstrate all of the positive expected ideal situation of a healthy child. And then from there, in the next paragraph is where I introduce now the problem. However, currently, children under 5 are facing many challenges ranging from social to healthy issues. Yeah. And then I continue with it. They are affected with this problem, and malaria. And then from there, I extract malaria and start demonstrating the magnitude of malaria to under 5 children alongside the factors contributing to malaria. So it's where I introduce the outcome variable with the support of what is predicting or what is contributing to the global trend or magnitude of malaria. See? So researchers, after presenting the information about malaria, at the end there, so for instance, we have written 3 paragraphs about malaria. See, the first paragraph is positive. The second paragraph starts with the demonstrating the magnitude of the problem by statistics. It must be by statistics if we are presenting epidemiological issue. You see? And if we are presenting non-epidemiological issue, also, it depends. If the report about it has been presented in proportions, you can also present in proportion, you see. So I've written the first paragraph, the second and the third, or maybe the fourth. And then writing this one, at the end, as a researcher, I must demonstrate my argument, my conclusive statement after presenting the information that has been reported by others. You see, for my readers of the work, that if I present the positive remark, the magnitude of the problem in the developed country, developing and the local setting, what issues or what message will my readers extract from the information that I've presented in my background? So it's where you demonstrate your presence in the work at the last paragraph, you see? And this is called the researcher's argument to the presented information. So you have presented this information. What does it mean then? You see? So if it's a comparative information, you see, and it shows that in developed countries, malaria is low. But when you come to developing countries and the local setting, which is Tanzania, the malaria is high. It's where now I argue that based on this information, or based on the reported information, it shows that malaria to under 5 children still exists. But the severity is more in developing countries than in developed countries, you see? And then this is more severe in local setting like Tanzania than in other developing countries. So if I state like this one, is where I demonstrate myself to the information that I brought to my readers through background information. There must be a researcher argument to the presented information. And then if you put this one, it indicates that you analyzed the report and you showed yourself to what you have presented as a background information to the problem. So these are the building blocks of the background information. So how to write? So writing a background, as I said earlier, it may differ from region, from training institution, from organization and organization, you see. And regardless of that, we have basic information that we as juniors to research, or someone who want to initiate the journey to write a proposal may consider them because they cut across, see? So the first one is better you initiate your background information or the introduction with the positive remark, as I said. And then this is what I said. What is expected of the area of interest? And I demonstrated one example of malaria to under 5. So what is expected to under 5 children in relation to their health? That is positive remark. They are needed to be healthy. They are needed to be well parented. They are needed to be protected. They are needed to be fed. They are needed to be provided shelter, you see, for them to be healthy. And then what if they are healthy? mean that they will be strong enough to produce, to contribute to the social economic growth of their nation and at the global in the large context. You see, so after that one is where now in the following paragraphs you indicate if this this expectation are achieved or not, and what is going wrong with that one. You see. And then the second point or aspect is you must limit yourself starting the background by defining a research problem or outcome of interest and study. So you can find some of background information or proposals that has been written by researchers. They start to say malaria is defined by a decrease of immunity, whatever. So they started with defining what is the problem. And then the researchers or scholars, they discourage this one because they say, this is already an existing knowledge. It's already known. You can borrow or you can buy a book which describes the health issues, and you can find a definition of malaria there. You can visit the website, the WHO website. You can find the definition of malaria there. So what is needed is just to go direct and bring the context of malaria, rather than defining first what is malaria, what is anemia. Anemia is a decrease of hemoglobin. This is already known in the books, you see. So you are advised to limit yourself starting the background by defining the research problem or topic you understand. Rather, you go bringing the information, unfolding what is not known to the context of the problem. See, because this in any proposal depends on the guidelines of training institution or organization. There are some sections where you are needed to define terms, and it's called the definition of terms or operational definition. It's where you are going to define it, rather than starting the first sentence of your background information, defining the problem. See? That is why you are recommended to limit yourself on that one. But also you are recommended to focus your background information on the context of the problem or the topic understood. Don't bring jargons or terminologies at the very beginning paragraphs of your background information. This will discourage your readers to go further reading your work. See, so we are advised to limit that one. So the developed and the developing world that we are talking about, these are the features to be considered. See? So if, as I said, if we are dealing with the epidemiological issue, so bring the reports of the context of the problem, understand as a comparative information. And when I say comparative, you compare the trend of malaria, for example, in developing and the local setting. This, if we do this one, is what I call it as a comparative epidemiological and a statistical information of the problem understanding. And then later on, you associate the context or the problem, the magnitude, with the factors, which factors contribute to the problem. And then which strategies are there to address the problem, but also link them with either the gain or failure or no change of those strategies against the problem. And then later on, your argument now is where now I have said upper, what do you say about that as a researcher? So it's a researcher argument. This is where now you can see some of background information or proposals in the introduction part. They say, despite of all efforts, the problem of malaria to under 5 children still persists. You see, this presents yourself to the background information that you have analyzed and you have conceptualized the context, and you have come with the argument to show the reader, although you have read the information, this is a message to go with from this section. You see? And then in the local setting, so where now I said you are in the geographical location. As a researcher, we have geographical locations. For taking my example, I'm from Dodoma region, the University of Dodoma, which is Tanzania. I will say now I describe the problem of malaria within my country, within Tanzania. It's where there is no need to waste time, including the global trend of the problem again here. So no place you can find a sentence has been written globally. This problem is existing. Whatever. Oh, in the African country, the problem is this has already been demonstrated in the background. It's where you feature all of the three domains. But if you come to the local setting, it's where you deal with the geographical location, where you are as a researcher. Describe the phenomena within your geographical location. So what is the magnitude of the problem? So if it's a country level, we say in Tanzania, malaria accounts for 80% among under 5 children, you see? And then I come to the regional distribution. The most leading region within the country is Dodoma, with this percentage of malaria among under 5 children. And then I come with the which factors, because factors, we consider factors because they may differ. Factors which contribute to malaria in developed country might be different from developing countries. So from there, if you establish this comparative information, a reader of your work may also comprehend, even though we differ in malaria, the prevalence of malaria, it's not only malaria, but also the factors contributing to, you see, and even the strategies that are in place to address malaria. So as I said, we link with the strategies to overcome the problem. So no country that its people are affected with the epidemiological problem, and then it remains calm. There must be some strategies in place to address the problem. So it's a situation to demonstrate there that the country is not silent about the problem. This and this is implemented. And then they show some gain like this one. However, despite of these initiatives, the problem still persists. So, and then at the end, you say as a researcher, what is your argument on the presented information for your readers to go out with a message from that perspectives. So that is how to write a background. You see the concept, we have a prerequisite, but we have also the requirements. And then if you know this one, it's now you will be in a place now to start writing. So in writing it, it is written in the form of paragraphs. It is written in the form of paragraphs. So here I've put some characteristics of a paragraph, at least as a basic information, a universal information for all beginners of researchers, especially academic arena. So because it is written in paragraph form, we have some rules and regulations, so guidelines to write paragraphs. So these are the characteristics of your paragraphs when you write the background information or the whole proposal. This applies because all proposal is written in paragraph form as background information is written. So it's recommended from literature that the paragraph, one paragraph, must not be less than 5 lines and not above 10 lines for it to be qualified as a background information, you see. And then if we have this one, it says you must not have more than 2 lines without a full stop or a comma for your reader to have a rest when reading your work. So you can find some of the background information from the beginning of the sentence to the 5th line of the paragraph. No comma, no full stop. You see, it is recommended that you limit yourself in such writing skills. So not less than 5, that is the paragraph, not less than 5, and not more than 10 lines. But also, it should not exceed at least 3 lines total without a full stop or comma for your reader to rest, to take a breath, or to take a rest. See? But we are also recommended to try to limit linking one paragraph to the next or to the other with the connected words, such as nevertheless. So, for instance, we have reached 10 lines, and the concept still need to be proceeded. Mean that you are discouraged to start the first line of the second paragraph with those connection words, such as moreover, more, additionally, nevertheless. You see, we are advised to limit such a thing. So you may have a concept, and then you have initiated writing the paragraph. You see, you have written the paragraph, and you have reached, for instance, 9 lines. You see, and then the concept still continues. You are advised to stop and then initiate the next paragraph. See, that will also demonstrate the link between the first and the second paragraph. See, and then another rule is one paragraph should at least present one idea. See, for instance, I'm talking of the prevalence of malaria. So I need to present the prevalence of malaria without mixing with the factors contributing to malaria, because factors contributing to malaria is another idea, is another concept. So it is advised from scholars that at least describe one idea in one paragraph for your readers to get to comprehend what is there, and to at least see and know the flow of the concepts. So concept 1, how is it connected to concept 2, and the 4, and so forth. So we are divided like that one. But also in the issue of citations, we need to cite in the background information, but citations must come from big international organizations. And then why? Because these are the ones who report the trend of the problem in the entire world. It's not individual research. Individual researchers just do in a very locality space, see? So that's why it's recommended citation. At least many of your citation in the background information must come from the big international organization. Why? Because they are the ones who bring reports to the, of the entire world. So it's a global trend of a problem. And from there, you get regional distribution. They are the ones who describe them. And one among the examples of global international organizations like World Health Organization, UNICEF, and others. See? And then if you cite, if you get them, it's recommended that from the year you are, when you go back, count 5 years. So for instance, we are in 2023, mean that you are recommended to cite throughout your document citations from 2018 to 2023. That is the recommended when writing and citing your information in the background information, but also the entire work. And then citing requirement, as I said, when you present an idea and you want to put a full stop, for instance, in a full stop, you start another idea, mean that this preliminary or the first idea must be cited. So if we have, for instance, in a paragraph, 10 full stops, mean that we might count 10 citations, you see. And then this depends with the concept. If we are continuing to describe the same concept, mean that the end of describing that concept is where you insert a citation. And then after citation, you put a full stop. You see? That is how we can deal with the paragraphing. See? So we have this example of a background information. And I don't know, because of time, I would like the participants who are in to take a look of it to the full stop, the last full stop. and then maybe say anything about, is it really a background information, or what is lacking, or what is written good. So I have three questions here. Firstly, to say if this demonstrates a well-written background information, the first question, yes, no. And then the second, if yes, what indicates that this is a background information? And if no, what indicates that this is not a background information? I don't know, Dr. Zadi, if time will allow, because I would like people to critique this one, to reflect what we have shared about the background information.
Okay, is this your last slide?
No, we have a problem statement.
Okay, so
This is all about it. We are covering the background information.
Okay, you have like 12 minutes to finish up. So I suggest
maybe
you finish up, and then this slide will be the last slide to be displayed as we continue with the discussion.
Okay. So may I finish?
Yes.
So may I finish first? Yeah.
Yes, you can finish first.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see the concept of background problem statement. So problem statement, the problem itself is a phenomenon that is interested, how the researcher is interested to address it and contribute new knowledge. This is a problem. And then these are the characteristics of that problem. It must be a public concern. It must need to be eliminated. And then if we eliminate it, I mean that there is something is going to be improved. See? And then this is a purpose of why should we deal with the problems. See? Well, we are dealing, or we are stating the problem because we want our readers to know the importance of the study, the topic and the study. See? But also the context of the problem, and then the necessity, significance of you to conduct a study, but providing a framework of reporting the results. This is the purpose of why should we write a problem statement. And then a problem statement can be written in a form of a question, you see, like they are always doing in a social science discipline, but it can be presented as a statement or summary, or a report, a brief report about what is happening about the problem. And then the known issue in a problem statement, it should not state how are you going to do things coolly. It's all about what is trending, affecting people, you see. But also it should not offer vague propositions or terminologies, you see. And then it should be valued. It has weight, and it demonstrates really there is a problem in the society or a certain group of people. Remove or limit yourself to unnecessary jargons or terminology that your readers might not be aware of. See? So this, as I said, is just a repetition that you must focus in the geographical location where you are. So you demonstrate the existing trend of the issue that are affecting people over there. You see? And then you demonstrate the consequence of it, for it to be significant, or for your study to be significant. And the people say that this study is needed to be conducted. You must demonstrate the magnitude, but the outcome related to the magnitude of the problem. That is the work of problem setting. But also show clearly what is lacking from the initiatives or efforts, as I said, and from previous studies. What is the gap that you as a researcher, you are going to fill and bring new knowledge from that problem, say. And then this is also an example of a problem statement that also a participant can read it, can take a look at it, and then critique it, whether it fits to be a problem statement or not, see. So that's all about the brief concept. Because of time, I summarized it, and it's not an end. We are plenty all of the time, and we are always sharing ideas. So we started with the concept of background information, prerequisite, but also requirement, and then how to write it. And then here now is a problem statement, the concept, what is it, characteristics, and how to write it, you see. So here is, I submit, Dr. Sad.
Okay, so thank you very much for a very good presentation. And if you'd like to go back to the slide that you wanted, you can leave it on read so that the participants can read as we continue with the discussion.
Yeah.
And then we can give them some times to go through. So thank you so much. And I would like to read some of the questions that have been posted by the participants.
Yes.
So the first question is general. And this first question says the participants want to know if there is an online website. I mean, I think he means journal, which he can use to fund the research which have been conducted in Tanzania.
Okay. So can I respond to it?
Yes.
Yes. So maybe the studies on which issues about the background from how to write a background.
No. Just the like a database for research which have been done in Tanzania, if there is any. The participant wants to know. I think he wants to do some literature search on Tanzania.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So in Tanzania, speaking of Tanzania, we have localized journals that are based in Tanzania, and then they are mainly based on fields, different fields. For instance, because I'm working in the health field at the University of Dodoma, so our university also has some journals. If we go to Dar es Salaam, University of Dar es Salaam, they have some journals there that are localized within Tanzania. So we have journals, and readers can access published works from Tanzania also. And then if possible, we can share them through Madam Hindu, and then they will be publicly open, and you can freely access them. But also we have a repository, university repository. All of the higher training institutions have repositories. It's where it's a kind of bank from the researches that are conducted by students in those specific training institutions. So we have, and then they are open to public.
Okay, so thank you very much for your response. And another question is, what is your comment for novel works to start with those definitions in the background? The participants say, for example, gene drives or mosquito modified for malaria control. How about the audience? Can this be a reason to start with definitions?
So we have, there are some researches that have very rare and key terminologies. So if a research have a very new and a key term, it's also possible to start defining, but it's not in the first beginning paragraph, you see? Because the background information, as I said, is all about the context of the topic and the study, and not definition of terms, because we have a special section depending on the guideline of an organizational training institution where you are going to define the terminologies, see? So if we have very key term and a very new, that your readers need to start with knowing them first and then proceed with the content, you can define them at the beginning. You see, there is that opportunity, and then scholarly support that also.
Okay. Question number 2 from the same participant is, some articles straight contextualize the problem faced on the topic or sentence on the introduction to secure readers' interest on the particular problem. So how do you describe this school of thought as well?
Yes, so Yes, if I understand it, we have two things. We have academic writing as a proposal, and we have scholarly writing when you write a manuscript for publication. You see, so when you write a manuscript for publication, you must also demonstrate techniques to draw attention of your readers. It's where now we plug those kind of definition. But when it comes to academic writings, it's recommended to limit ourselves to that context where we are doing normally when we want to publish or developing a manuscript for publication. See, so you can find it's true. You can find some of the published works start with the defining, because it's also open for there to attract readers at the first beginning position. See, but for academic works, for projects works, is where we need with an exception of if we have a key issues or new terminologies, we are advised to limit ourselves starting with the defining the terminology, which is obvious, known, and is there prescribed in books or magazines or whatever source of information. So,
okay, thank you, Dr. Walter, for a kind response. And some congratulations and a good presentation. It was a very informative. From some participants have congratulated you and have commented that it was very informative from them. And there are two participants who are concerned about the background of your presentation. I think, is it by accident or it was a design of your presentation, like the zigzag lines just at the background of your presentation?
Oh, lines.
Yes, yes, yes.
Even myself, I see them lines, but I don't know where are they coming from. I don't know from my computer, but I also see the lines.
Okay,
but it's not mine. Yeah.
So it's a technical error. So dear participants,
I think it's a technical error. Yes.
We are sorry for the lines, but if you've been following the presenter's talk, I'm sure there was no problem. Another concern, I think this will respond to. Participant is asking the website where they can find the recordings of this session. We are recording. It's a good to know that we have noticed that we are recording these sessions, and these sessions will be shortly available on the hospital website. So after they're being available, you'll be notified so that you can access both the recordings of the sessions together with the presentation slides. Okay, so I think we have answered that. There is another question to you, Dr. Walter.
Yeah.
The participant asks, where can we normally find the gap in the previous studies to establish the problem in case we want to develop a research title?
Okay. So we have two options here as we as researchers. You can access dissertation of someone who has written a research from the repository of training institution, specifically training institution, because as I said, many training institution is repository where it serves as a bank of all products from researchers, from students. You see, so once you for instance, you access the dissertation or thesis, this the first thing to search is the limitations of the study that has been prescribed in such a document, dissertation or thesis. You go there and see what were the limitations of this study, and then from there is where now a gap starts when you access thesis or dissertation. See? But also you can see the gap of the study. If, for instance, you are accessing a number of dissertations or theses. You see, we have gaps, contextual gap, we have theoretical gap, we have empirical or literature gap, but also we have methodological gap. So we have these 5 issues. So for instance, we want to start with the context gap. It's where now we say you accumulate a number of theses or published works, and then extract or evaluate them to see how many have done or have been conducted in this context. So you can find if you have 5 documents, you see each document has been studied, it has studied maybe malaria in under 5, malaria in the under 5, malaria in the under 5, malaria in the under 5. It's where now we say in the contextual gap, many of the studies have been conducted in to assess malaria to under 5 children. None of the reviewed articles, you see, or little information has been demonstrated to assess malaria among adults. You see, so the context is malaria to under 5. But none of the information has been demonstrated to study malaria among adults, or malaria among key population, or malaria among pregnant women who are having deformities. You see, so this is the second approach to do. The first is you read the limitation of that work, but if that is not enough, you accumulate a bundle of reports or scholarly works and find the topic malaria among whom, for instance. Yes, see? And so after that one, this is a context gap. Many studies have been conducted in which context? This is where you establish a contextual gap. You see? Now, after establishing a contextual gap, is where now you will be also in a position to design a title of yourself, because you will be referencing the limitation of those available studies, but also how many of them have been conducted in which context, among which population, in which geographical location. You see? And then there now you'll be in a position also to find what is the theoretical gap, because some studies are guided with the theories, especially quantitative studies. Many studies have been conducted guided by which theories? So they study the same variables as yours, but they implemented or they opted such a theory which you think that if you apply them to this context will be an additional knowledge. So many studies have applied this theory to study this one, but none of them applied the same theory to study this one. So this is called a theoretical gap. You find a conflicting theoretical idea from the present knowledge or existing knowledge, which is available from published scholarly works and the other reports. See? But also literature gap. Many literature have been there, have been conducted, scholarly work have been conducted, talking about which issues. See, it's where now we can establish empirical gap, but also methodological. So in the methodological, you touch all of the components. You see, study setting, where we talk of geographical location, study design. You can establish a methodological gap in a study design, such as many studies have been conducted in a cross-section approach or observational studies, but none of them have been conducted as an intervention to find a solution for the existing problem. See, this is a methodological gap under study design. Or many studies have been conducted in Southern Africa, but none of the studies of the same nature have been conducted in Eastern. This is a methodological gap in study setting, you see? And then you go to the study population. Many have been conducted to study under 5, but very little have been there to assess others or to assess people with special needs. You see, this will be a methodological gap under study population, and then you go like that one. So in your framework towards a research title, you must have this in place first to assure yourself and assure others that this study is researchable, and then there is new knowledge which is coming to be brought by this research. See, so there are sources like this one.
Okay, thank you. And there is one comment, I'll just get back to it, but there is an additional question. I believe you have responded to it, but maybe if not, you can respond to it. The participant asked, what if the study has been done somewhere else and not in your geographical location? Can that alone be enough to be regarded as a research gap?
Okay, so scholars recommend that in the methodological gap, when you establish a methodological gap, at least you must have not less than 2 aspects. Geographical location is not quite enough to say that this study is significant because in this area, as there is no any study that has been conducted. You must add another component to support geographical location, because geographical location has some indicators, you see. Because nowadays the world is very, they say the world is in a handy, you see. People are mixing. So how do you define a geographical location? It's very difficult sometimes if you are in the front of some scholars to defend yourself. Why are you depending on geographical location alone to say that this is a methodological gap? So you must add another component, as suggested by scholars, that you must at least, if you deal with the methodological gap, add some component, more component, at least to reach 2 to 3, for you to defend that this study is very significant in this area because it has never been conducted. I see. So it's not enough. A geographical location is not quite enough to stand by itself for you to say that the study, there is a gap in the context of the study.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Walter. And there is a comment from one of our senior researchers. It says, thank you so much for a nice educational summary of matters related to research. He got it during a talk on the background on the regard. You said you should focus on the research matter. So we continue in commenting that suppose your research problem is acute renal failure as a complication of malaria. It's not necessary to start describing a malaria and how cause renal failure rather than going straight to the topic in the matter. And another question, okay, here is, how easily can one frame the findings from literature to actually start writing the concept to avoid plagiarism?
Yes, can you come again?
How easily can one frame the findings from literature to actually start writing the concept to avoid plagiarism? Okay.
So we say writing a proposal need preparation, and then it needs individualized schedule or planning. You see, because there is an accumulation of activities to be undertaken for you to start writing a concept note. So you must first be in a position to do situational analysis of the area of interest where you want to extract the topic of interest, which will give you a research title. I say. So situational analysis is a very key component for you to initiate the journey of writing background information. So if you extensively review the situation, the existing situation, plus lived experience, plus reports, plus scholarly works which have been published, you will be in a position to start writing the concept note, because you will be having a framework or a tree, situational analysis tree, where you will establish a situation, a need to be assessed, and a need that you need to be covered to them. So it needs some time. It's not the issue of maybe today you finish today writing the concept note or the background information. You need to go step by step. For instance, my title, I gave you some some example of the title, Factors Contributing to Malaria Among Under 5 Children in Tanzania. So I needed some time to search articles that talk about malaria, and then reports. So 1 week will be for searching materials, or 3 days will be scheduled for searching materials. And then the rest is 2 days of the week reading the materials. And then if you conceptualize, it's now you will be in a position to know the situation of malaria and bring the concept. Now, to avoid plagiarism, because nowadays we have software that check for plagiarism, especially in academic works. When a researcher wants to avoid plagiarism, it's a matter of, one, paraphrasing what has been reported. So if a sentence say malaria kills under 5 children, you need not to repeat the same, writing the same structure of the sentence. You need to reframe or paraphrase this one. Which message do you get from malaria is killing children? So, for instance, I say, it has been reported by Walter et al. 2023. The problem of malaria is very dangerous to the health of people because it leads to. So I've paraphrased the sentence, malaria kills under 5 children, to my own sentence, but the idea might be the same. That is one among the techniques to avoid plagiarism. But the second one is citing, acknowledging the original source of the information. So I might paraphrase and then write my own sentence. But I am recommended by scholars that at the end of my sentence, I need to acknowledge the source of this idea, because background information is all about presenting what is existing. And then if you are presenting what is existing, you are not part of it. You are presenting what others have been there to unfold what is not known, you see? So presenting the idea is where now we are recommended to cite as a means to acknowledge their contribution of the existing knowledge. So citation is recommended for you to avoid plagiarism after paraphrasing. See? Yes. So and the third is, maybe you may also ask for the help at each step. For instance, for some supervisors, they prefer their candidates, if they write a background information, they check the originality of the background information. If there are a lot of plagiarism, proportion is high, the student or a candidate is suggested to revise again by being exposed to these techniques. So we have many, and because I think because of time, if we have another session, we will talk also about how to avoid plagiarism. So in this short session, I would say paraphrasing, but also acknowledging the source and also checking for plagiarism at each interval of proposal development.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Walter. And maybe one last question, because we are running out of time, you can answer it shortly. Is there any limitation on how many literatures that are asked to be used for citation in the background and the problem statement? Is there a limit of a number of literature? That's a question from the floor.
Okay, thank you. It's a nice question, and sometimes it's very confusing, you see. And then this, based on the scholarly knowledge, there is no limitation, but limitation comes depending on the guidelines in a specific training institutions. And the second one, it depends on the level of education. For instance, when you are pursuing PhD, and the guideline of such a training institution requires you at least to have 70 references for you to say that I have written a background information. They say that 70 references are enough to say that this candidate have analyzed the situation of the context. You see? So it depends. There is no exact limit of how many references should be there in the problem, in the background information or problem statement. It depends with the geographical location or training institution, organization, and even supervisors.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Walter, for a very nice presentation and a very good response to most of the questions that have been asked. And I would like to tell you that most participants have congratulated you for a very nice and informative presentation. And looking forward to future presentations, and some of them are seemingly are your students, and you motivate them to join the research field. Thank you so much. And everyone, I would like also to appreciate my sincere thanks to Dr. Walter, as this presentation is purely a humanitarian work. It's a volunteering work for devoting his time and energy to prepare this so that we can get a glimpse or the basic knowledge on the matter. So thank you so much, and God bless you. Sister Hill, do you have anything do you have any comments before we finish up this meeting, because we have like 3 minutes?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Walter, for a very wonderful presentation. I have some additions regarding some of the questions which were asked. One of it is where a scorer can get a gap. In some of the studies, in addition to what Dr. Walter said, but some of the studies in report writing, they have the area where the researchers do recommend for others on how to perform or where to perform the other study or research. So they do recommend with regard to their research which they have done, and so the gap they can recommend. Maybe we suggest for other scholars to do research regarding 1, 2, 3 issues. Just a minor addition. But indeed, Dr. Walter responded very well to all of the questions, and it was a very wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Dr. Walter. We hope to have you again.
Thank you very much, Madam Windows. Thank you very much, Dr. Zaj, and the participants.
Okay, so this will be the end of our presentation. And once again, I would like to thank everyone who has participated in this session. Thanks a lot to presenter, Dr. Walter, and my fellow colleague, Sister Hindu, for preparation of this topic. I hope we will get to see each other in the next presentation. Thank you so much, dear participants, for a very consistent attendance and all your questions and comments. We are looking forward to seeing you in our upcoming sessions. So thank you and bye.